Welcome to this week's video. This week I've got myself a Nintendo Switch Oled. It was listed on eBay for £145, which is pretty cheap. I decided to offer £130, which he accepted straight away. I did wonder why he accepted such a low offer. So it's fully complete: Switch, Joy-Cons, dock, cables, charger, everything that you need. And the description said it just wasn't playing games, so I'm pretty sure this is going to be an easy fix. So we give it a quick once over, and to be fair, it's in pretty decent condition. A few little scuffs on the back, nice sticker, but overall it's not too bad. No real marks on the side, and the screen's in decent condition. So I'm hopeful for a nice easy fix. What's the worst that could happen? So we'll give the basics a quick test. Check the screen. The screen seems to be working okay. One of the Joy-Cons is a little bit damaged, and the other one is very much damaged, which it did say in the description. It doesn't lock in place, so another thing to fix. But we'll check for any drift, and both of them seem to be working fine. Quick check of all the buttons, and we do have an issue on the shoulder button, so the one which is badly damaged also has a bad problem with the button. So we pop a game card in. This is what he said was the issue. It seems to read it straight away. And then I give it a quick play, and I don't seem to have any problem. This seems to be working fine. So I'm pleasantly surprised. It looks like this is going to be a nice easy fix, just a little bit of an issue with the Joy-Con. Make sure it connects to the Wi-Fi, which it does. So I'm just going to dock it and then make sure everything's alright with that. So slot it in, screen goes off, and then it should appear on the TV, and it doesn't, so we've got a little issue here. So put it into the charger, and it seems to be charging. It's showing a charge that side, and then I flip it over, and it's showing a charge on both sides. So we obviously have a bigger issue, so unfortunately I am going to have to open this one up now. So first off, 2 tri-wing screws on the back, then a couple of crosshead screws on the top and bottom, and a couple on the side, and the back peels off. And we can see a bit of damage on the back casing as well, so we'll have to have a look at that. So next up is a few screws on the back. Just unhook these antennas, take the metal plate off, and then the whole thing peels off nice and easy. Disconnect the battery so we don't cause any shorts. And we start taking it apart. So the game card out first, then the heatsink, and then disconnect all the ribbon cables, and then take out the remaining screws. Then the motherboard can peel out, and then we'll be able to have a closer look. So originally I'm suspecting it'll be the P13 chip on the back. However, I noticed something wrong with the USB. So I'll pop it under the microscope, and then there we can see someone has been in this before, and they've done a shocking job of trying to replace the USB-C port. And as we can see, most of the pins aren't even connected, so God knows how it was showing it was taking a charge. So we apply a lot of flux, and then we apply heat from underneath, 450 degrees C. Take a couple of minutes, finish off from the top, then we'll lift it off. And then we can have a quick look, and it is in rough condition. So let it cool down, apply some more flux, and then get some solder wick to clear out all the portholes of the old solder. Soldering iron hot air gun works wonders. Then we apply some fresh solder to the pins. And then we give it a good clean with isopropyl on both sides to make sure it's all ready to go again. So we put fresh flux back on. and then we apply heat again from underneath. So we just leave this on a couple of minutes again, 450 degrees C, until we can see the solder pad starting to melt. Once they begin to melt, we know we'll be ready to apply the port. Then we place the port on, and then we just need to make sure that the pins are aligned. And then when they are, we just need to give it a little press down, make sure that they're all firmly in place. And then once we're happy, we can remove the heat whilst keep holding to make sure that the pins and the solder solidify together, making sure that the pins in the inner and the outer all connect. A quick look under the microscope once they cool down to make sure that they're all good, and I'm happy with that. I'll apply some flux to the rear, to the port legs, to make sure that the port's nice and solid before we even try and attempt to test it. Nice fresh solder in all the port legs, give it as much as it will take. And then once again, another clean of isopropyl. Now we plug it into the battery, plug the amp tester in to see if we get a charge. So straight away we're getting a charge on that side, so that's a good sign. Turning off and on also means that it's attempting to boot. We flip it round and it's doing the same, it's taking a charge. So we put the motherboard back in, but we need to connect the battery, turn it on, and then there we've got a switch that turns on, which is always a good positive start. So we just give it a minute to start up. So all seems to be okay so far. Double check that it's still taking a charge, which it is. So it's charging on both sides. However, it was doing that before. So we connect it all up back into the dock. Slot it in, the screen goes off. We look on the main TV and there it is, it's showing up. So very nice, finally fixed. But then I noticed something when I was putting it back together. So some of the housing around the CPU had been cut. People do this when they're doing a mod chip. And as you can see, there's a little scrape where you can attach a wire. So I thought I'd best dive into a little bit deeper to see what else has been done. So there was a lot of thermal paste on the switch, which looked very new and fresh. So I decided it was time to wipe this away and have a look what's underneath. And as I was cleaning away, I noticed we were missing a couple of little caps. So this is obviously someone's attempt at doing a mod chip install which has gone wrong. So we're booted without, but I might as well still put them back on. So I get a bit of aluminium tape to protect the plastics around. I've got a spare motherboard where I'm going to take the chips from, an old V1 board. And then I'll take them off, put them back on to the OLED switch. So pop them all on, add a little bit of heat at the end just to make sure they're all lined up and I'm happy, and then once we are, we can leave it. And then give it another good clean, making sure that they're all still solid in place. Quick once over, make sure all the others are there, and then we can pop it back together again. So I was worried they may have installed a mod chip, used it, got the console banned, and then took the mod chip off. So I thought it was best to check that it hasn't been banned already. And the best way to do that is to go on the App Store. So I went in the eShop and downloaded Fortnite, which it shouldn't be able to let you do this if you're banned, and it's all working fine. So time to put back together. Make sure you're adding plenty of new thermal paste. I don't show that because I only get moaned at. All the bits back in, heatsink back in, game card reader back in, add all the screws, little sticker over the top, battery back on, and then the back fascia also on. Reapply all the screws, give it a quick clean, make the connections. I ordered a few of the extra little bits that were broken from AliExpress. They only cost a couple of pounds, so these aren't really needed. It's more for looks, but I thought I might as well swap it over anyway as and make it look nice. So we'll peel the old sticker off, and just a screw which takes off these broken plastic bits. The new parts slide in, screw back in really easy. Same on the other side, screw out, take the old casing off, and then this part just clips on, clips into place, the other one slides in, screw back in, and then the back plate looks nice and fresh. Slide it back through, 4 screws back on, and then we're all done. Put it back on the switch, clip it in at the bottom first, and it hooks over the top. All the screws back in. On the side there's slightly different screws that go in, one which has a little shaft that goes at the top. The one that's fully threaded goes next down, and it's the same on both sides. 2 tri-wings back in, and that's it. Good clean of the screen, make it all nice and fresh. And now we need to move on to the Joy-Cons. 4 tri-wing screws out. And then straight away we can see the side rail being broken. We'll take the battery out, disconnect it, and then there's the little piece of rail, so no point trying to fix that. 3 screws out, pop this bit out, release the catch, and then we can see the out shoulder button's also broken. So we disconnect what we need. A lot of damage to the back casing. So I'm going to take this part out. Again, these bits can be fixed if you really wanted to, but they cost about £1 each, so it's easier just to buy new ones from AliExpress. The new left shoulder button back in, reapply the 3 screws, and the same on the side rail, 2 screws out, new connection on, and then the screws back in. While I'm on it, I'm going to replace the locks on the side with metal ones, as these are broken already, the sliding out. The metal ones are much more secure. Put it back together, and then I quickly see that it's got a bit of corrosion, so a bit of isopropyl alcohol on the edge, give it a clean. So the back of the housing is missing where the screw screws in to hold the rail on, so I'm going to use some epoxy putty. So you mix the 2 together and it forms a nice little putty. And then what the plan is, I'm going to just stick a little bit of super glue on the broken edges just to secure it up a little bit, leave that to dry. Now I'm going to get my epoxy putty. I'm just going to slightly push it down, take off the excess that I don't need, pop on the rail, push it around the edges, secure it up a little bit, and then I'm going to attach a screw, very gently screw in the screw, and then secure it with some tape, and then leave it for 24 hours to harden overnight. So I've got this broken post on the side, so I'm just going to super glue this into place, make it nice and secure, and then we'll leave this for a couple of hours. Then I reconnect the battery, up on the side, lights are still working which are good, and then just reattach the 4 screws. All the buttons are good, and now we're back up and running on that side. So I'll quickly change the lock on the other side as well for a metal one. Again, didn't really need to show it, but it's the same kind of process. So a couple of screws to take it out. And then there we have it, all back together. A few little scuffs on the back, but nothing too bad. The Joy-Cons had a little bit of damage, they got a bit of scuffing, but they're both secure, nice and firm now, and both work perfect. All the buttons, and they don't slide out. The screen in pretty good condition. I was expecting an easy fix when I first saw it. It quickly evolved into a much harder fix. At the end of the day, I've managed to get myself a fully working Switch Oled for £138, which is not a bad deal. Thanks very much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe.